an original MCM production.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call the Operations Committee to order. And I'll ask the Secretary to record the roll.
Commissioner Bohl?
Here.
Commissioner Harris Dodd is expected. Commissioner Martinsek?
Here.
Commissioner West is expected. Commissioner Krieger?
Here.
Commissioner Hermes?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is the approval of the minutes of the proceedings of the regular committee meeting on November 14th.
Move to approve. Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Hermes and seconded by, was it Commissioner Bohl? Yes, okay. So it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Minutes are approved. Moving on, organization and administration report. Kevin?
Good morning, Commissioners. As you can see on the screen, we normally show the December numbers for SWMBE. This being the end of the year, we also have the year in total. So for December, pending approval by the committees, we've got about 26.3% for this month. And then year total is close to 26% as well for SWMBE. And you can see the note on the bottom, it doesn't include municipal agreements, awards to nonprofits, or the VLE extension award. So a really good year for SWMB, and thank you for the commission for helping us drive that. We'll try to drive it even more next year. But just wanted to show you that. Next, we have the Green Luminary Award, which Lisa Sasso is going to provide to us. Lisa?
Good morning, I'm Lisa Sasso, Project Manager in the PRS Division, and today I have Glenn Radford with me from the Housing Authority of the City of Milwaukee. And we've worked with the City of Milwaukee a lot on projects. I know Glenn with green roofs a lot, but today we're going to show the West Lawn Gardens, and again, it was a large project site, 37 acres, and they manage 158,000 gallons of water. And it's just great to have visions and have projects like that to work with the City of Milwaukee.
Here we go.
We're in West Lawn Gardens. It's a revitalization effort of the Wisconsin's largest public housing development. We spent a lot of time and effort designing and developing it to be a sustainable, healthy environment for our residents. So we've incorporated bioswales throughout the 37 acres that's been developed. A bioswale is basically an engineered ditch, and the engineering part comes from having permeable soils that will allow rainwater to seep into the ground gradually. We had to redo all of the streets in the development to make this work, which allows the rainwater to go into the bioswales and be held there for up to a 48-hour period. Those bioswales are diverted to detention pond. That is adjacent to the Lincoln Creek watershed. The design calls for being able to reduce the amount of stormwater into the Lincoln Creek watershed by 158,000 gallons in a 1-inch storm event. One of the motivators for us to do this was we did have flooding. It really is working. We don't have the floods, we don't have the standing water, we don't have a lot of the issues that you have when rainwater can't be absorbed into the ground.
Thank you again, Glenn, and here's your Luminary Award.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. On behalf of our Board of Commissioners, it's an honor to accept this, as well as our Executive Director, Antonio Perez, and the staff at the Housing Authority. We thank you very much for the collaborations and support in addressing some of our stormwater issues here in Milwaukee, and look forward to more collaborations in the future.
Questions?
Just one quick one. Can you tell me if that was designed, did the city design that and do the engineering on that, or was it done from an outside firm? Or
It's all done by outside firms.
And do you know who that was?
It was done by Norris and Associates.
Really liked the way it looked. It was really well done. Thank you.
I watched It's a Wonderful Life Saturday night, and when I saw those pictures of the houses along the street, it kind of reminded me of that. So, very, very nice. And the Housing Authority's been one of the earliest adopters of this work, working with Tony Perez and Glenn. It's just been a really great partnership. So it's a great way to make an impact in a defined area with all the work that they do. So it's been a great partnership. So thank you. And that's it for the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Kevin. Then we'll move on to our new business agenda. And item 1 is file number 16-159-12, which is a new contract for on-call engineering services for our water reclamation facilities. Mike, I see you're set up to go here.
I'm ready. Good morning, Mike Martin, Director of Technical Services. The Commission is requested to authorize the Executive Director to execute on behalf of the district contract TS 2638 General On-Call Engineering Services for water reclamation facilities with Donahue and Associates, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $450,000. We have an ongoing need for engineering services on smaller scale, engineering services for both the Jones Island and South Shore plant. We've done these type of contracts for conveyance, for water cores, for electrical engineering, and so on. This one is focused on the water reclamation facilities. We usually use these types of services anywhere from 6 to 18 times per year. Again, they're generally smaller, $5,000, 10, 20, up to 60 grand. They're used on small capital projects, capital repair replacement, or just general technical support for operational issues. What it does, it allows us to very quickly get those engineering services, having the contract ready to go. So it becomes an efficient way for us to procure those services instead of every time we need a service. We always have to write up the scope, but then going out for a separate RFP, going through a procurement process. So it's a very cost-effective and time-effective way to get those services when they're relatively small. What we do is we develop a specific on-call task as they arise. Again, there are a wide range of services ranging anywhere from a planning service to detailed design, just problem solving, report writing, maybe perhaps deliver a design bid specifications. Again, these are all relatively small. Sometimes operation maintenance side, application engineering. So it's a wide range of services that is available under these contracts, this contract. The cost for this, they're all budgeted in the projects themselves, not in this contract. So it would be either in the O&M budget or the capital budget. And typically these contracts last about 3 years. So we spend about 150 grand per year. Can I answer any questions?
Any questions from any committee members? Commissioner Martin, sir.
In the absence of his question, the second bidder, which was the same amount and the same, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so what we do on call, because we don't have a scope defined up front, we say this is how much the contract's going to be. Okay. We take cost into account by, we create a kind of a pseudo project and we look at their labor rates, and then we determine who's a more cost-effective firm as factors in this. So again, we tell them the contract's going to be $450,000 contract. We take cost into account by looking at their hourly rates.
Any other questions? Seeing none, a motion would be in order on this. Commissioner Bowl, and is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hermes. Seeing no other questions, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 2 is contract, or file number, I should say, 16-160-12, which is a contract for the North Shore Metropolitan Interceptor Sewer Evaluation and Preliminary Engineering. I see Karen Sands is here for that.
My turn. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Karen Sands, Director of Planning, Research, and Sustainability. The Commission is requested to authorize and to direct the Executive Director to negotiate and execute on behalf of the District Contract C04010P01, North Shore Metropolitan Interceptor Sewer, or MIS, evaluation and preliminary engineering with Brown and Caldwell in an amount not to exceed $939,677. I need my glasses. There's a 30 square mile area on the North Shore that has had 6 SSOs in recent years, I think since 2008. There's also relatively high risk for basement backups. That area also has access issues. When it was constructed, it was very rural, and now a lot of the MIS is built over. We also need to look forward and think about future expansion of I-43 and where our assets lie. And then finally, there are some direct connections of homes directly to our MIS system, which we try to avoid when we can. So this project is necessary to look at all of those issues. The recommended contract would go to Brown and Caldwell. After we put this out on the street, we realized that there were some additional things that we would like to have included in the contract, and so we added those. So the bid cost that you see and the award costs aren't the same because we added some contract items. Specifically, we want to make sure that the model is well calibrated, and then we also want to connect with our asset management approach that we're taking to the 2050 facilities plan. So we did receive 3 proposals. Brown and Caldwell was the highest scoring proposer, and the project will go a little bit more than 1 year. That's that.
And the added scope of work would have been added to either of the bidders.
Yep.
Any questions from commissioners?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Boal, seconded by Commissioner Hermes. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 3 is file number 16-161-12, and that's a funding agreement for the Village of Menominee Falls PP&I program. Karen, you're also addressing this.
Also addressing this, thank you. The Commission is requested to authorize and to direct the Executive Director to execute on behalf of the district funding agreement MF05 in the amount of $997,066 for work outlined in Work Plan MF05 as submitted by the Village of Menominee Falls under Project MO3044. So there's a neighborhood, Winchester Highlands, that in 2016 had some investigative work undertaken within it. They looked at 114 laterals. All of those had significant defects. They didn't look at an additional 19, but under this project, that opportunity will also be provided. This is a map of the neighborhood, just to give you an idea of where it lies. The total project cost is actually more than this commission award, but this commission award is for the amount of funds that have been accumulated to date. So there would be an amendment next year once additional funds are allocated through the program for this project. The village is providing an in-kind financial contribution that's estimated to be worth about $300,000. The project would start early next year and be completed in early 2018. And this would tie up all of the village's available PPI funds. And that's it.
Any questions from commissioners? Yes, Ben?
Thank you. Karen, are you able to elaborate on the nature of the defects?
I am not, and I don't see Jerome here, so I'm going to have to get back to you on that. My apologies.
Can Andy do it?
Andy, can you elaborate? Do you happen to know?
Sure. Introduce yourself.
Morning, Commissioners. Andy Lucas with Brown and Caldwell. We're serving as the district's project or consulting engineers for PPII. We're also working directly for the Village of Menominee Falls and did the investigative work or led the investigative work in this neighborhood. Many of the defects are related to roots. Many of the streets in this neighborhood have trees that were planted in the original construction of this neighborhood, ended up being right on top of the laterals or very near to the laterals themselves. And over time, those roots have penetrated defects in the laterals and led to these defects. We've also seen areas where the stormwater system itself is unable to hold a lot of water. So when these dye tests were performed, a lot of that water leaked out and found defects in the sewer laterals themselves that caused quite a bit of leakage to come in. And that's the idea, is to design improvements that would address these leaks into the sewer system.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Approval. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hermes and seconded by Commissioner Bohl. Seeing no other discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. That concludes the Operations Committee agenda for this morning. Unless there's any questions.
Adjournment.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Martinsek and seconded by Commissioner Bohl. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call to order the Policy and Finance Personnel Committee for today, Monday, December 5th, 2016. I'll ask the Commission Secretary to do the roll call.
Commissioner Eli is excused. Commissioner Gramling?
Here.
Commissioner Manzanet?
Here.
Commissioner Perez?
Present.
Commissioner Swan?
Here.
Commissioner Hermes?
Here.
You have a quorum.
I'll first look for approval for the proceedings of the regular committee meeting held November 14th at 2016. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
And we got a second. So we have a motion by Commissioner Gramling and a second by Commissioner Swan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, the motion's approved, and we are moving to new business. Item number 4, 16-162-12, adoption of the amendments of MMSD rules, Chapter 13. I'll turn it over to staff.
Good morning. The Commission is requested to adopt amendments to MMSD rules, Chapter 13, Surface Water and Stormwater, as shown in Attachment 3. Well, this presentation will look very similar to one that I gave back in September when we did the request for the public hearing. So I ran through it then. I'll run through it again today and give what came up during the public hearing and how we've addressed those issues. So just some background information for watercourse jurisdiction. What watercourse jurisdiction is, it's the formal identification of specific watercourses where the district may take action in regards to flood management. So that's what these rules specifically adopt, are those watercourses where we want to perform flood management. It's not a guarantee that we'll work or begin on flood management. That formal identification is made through the rulemaking process. So the steps to do that, those steps are identified in our watercourse policy and Section 13 of our rules. It starts out, to add a watercourse, a governmental unit must first petition the district. And what they do in that petition is they describe the flood risks, the extended magnitude of the flood losses. We then review that petition for consistency with watercourse policy and criteria. So what's happened is the City of Milwaukee has requested these specific areas to be taken on for watercourse jurisdiction by the district. These are the estuary reaches of the KK, Menominee, and Milwaukee River, adding a total of 9.3 miles. And this map shows where they are. So the red is the Milwaukee River, green is Menominee, and the blue is KK. So these currently are not under our jurisdiction. City of Milwaukee came to us and asked us to add these to our jurisdiction for flood management. We looked at the criteria. There's 119 structures total in the FEMA floodplain. The estimated total flood damage is 67 million, and therefore it does meet our criteria to take jurisdiction. So that's on the estuary reaches. The other area is Indian Creek jurisdiction. We need a correction to add a reach between Dean Road and Manor Lane. The way this came about is that an Indian Creek Watercourse Management Plan was completed in 1998. That was before we had Chapter 13 rules, which went into effect in 2001. The district began implementing that Indian Creek plan in 2002, completed it in 2007. Didn't realize that the Chapter 13 never was updated to include of all of that Indian Creek. So we did the work. Now we're coming back and making the correction of adding the jurisdiction of this 1,900-foot reach. So the proposed amendment basically corrects that. Again, this map shows the area. It's the purple area that was not under our jurisdiction and we performed work on. A little better map. So then there's some other corrections to tables, just minor errors. So the commission authorized public hearings back in September, and the newspaper published the notice for public hearing and comment period on October 2nd. The public hearing occurred on November 3rd. Written comments were closed November 4th. No one spoke at the public hearing. We received support letters from the following, you can read the partner or the organizations that supported this. We did receive one written comment from Bill Milkey. Mr. Milkey represents Mequon, Thiensville, Menominee Falls, Butler, Brookfield, Elm Grove, New Berlin, Muskegon, Greenfield. He requested a change in the tables, not a material change, but a clarification to indicate that non-member municipalities will not be charged for work related to lake-dominated portion of the estuary reaches. So we made that change. We ran that by Mr. Milkey, and he was fine with that change. I can answer any questions on this.
Comments, questions? Commissioner Gramling?
Thank you. Mike, and for the commission's benefit as well, I just want to make sure everybody was aware of the water and land use planning process that's underway for the Harbor District in Milwaukee. I know it's something that we've talked about in the past, but I just wanted to bring it to the attention again, because as that planning process moves forward, there may be a need to integrate the district's presumed newfound jurisdictional responsibilities of watercourse within that geography with the planning processes and recommendations that may come out of that. I did have a chance to talk to Tom before the meeting this morning, Tom Chapman. He's aware of the interest in connecting MMSD staff and Harbor District Incorporated staff on that issue as well. And I just more generally like to say that that this makes all the sense in the world to not only bring in portions of the estuary into the jurisdiction of the sewerage district, but also to clean things up, so to speak, as we are moving forward. So having said all that, I'd be happy to make a motion to approve this resolution.
We have the motion. Second. You have a question from Commissioner Martinet.
What did that statement mean by Mr. Mooney? Could
Yeah,
you clarify
so
what that means to us?
for water courses, if the water course is, and I know Mark will tell me if I say it wrong, but if the water course is outside of Milwaukee County, those communities that are not tributary to that water course do not have to pay for work within that water course. So the correction, it wasn't a correction, it was a clarification that for these areas where we're adding jurisdiction, that those communities will not be responsible to pay because they're not tributary to those areas. It's a clarification.
Mark Kaminsky, Director of Finance. The only clarification.
I could hear him shuffling in the back.
Mike said watercourse outside Milwaukee County. It's anywhere in our area. If a watercourse or flood management project is not tributary to the non-member community under the Public Service Commission ruling in 1986, the district cannot bill them for any O&M or capital cost. And since, as Mike indicated, that these estuaries are tributary to Lake Michigan, they're obviously not non-members. And he just wanted to make sure we didn't roll them into, for example, there is the Menominee River work that 7 of the 10 non-member communities do pay for. It's just that portion of it. So he was just he was looking after his clients and making sure that the credit, but Mike and our staff had already discussed this and we were aware of it, and we're not planning them.
Basically policy that we've already
Policy and rules.
already adopted, and this is just applying to that new extension of
And I would even go further, regulatory too, because the Public Service Commission has made that ruling.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? I did have a motion from Commissioner Gramling. Is there a second? Is there a second from Commissioner Perez?
There was a second already. from
There was?
Chairman Hermes.
Commissioner Hermes.
Commissioner Hermes. So for the record, it's Commissioner Gramling and Commissioner Hermes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, the motion is approved for recommendation for the full commission. Next item, item number 5, 16-163-12, authorizing the executive director to approve computer-related purchases for 2017. Turn it over to staff.
Good morning, Commissioners. Greg O'Hearn, Information Systems Manager. As stated, this is a request, an annual request authorizing the Executive Director to approve computer-related purchases for 2017 under contracts issued by cooperative purchasing agencies and General Services Administration. Basically, again, this is occurs annually, and it allows the Executive Director to approve something over $150,000 should it happen, and is all under contracts that have already been bid by other agencies, and we basically piggyback on them. The only difference in this case today is that this used to be $100,000. It's now gone up to $150,000 in concert with some other recent changes for the executive director.
Any questions or comments? We got a motion for approval from Commissioner Hermes.
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Swan. Seeing no further questions or concerns, let's seek a motion for approval.
Motion's been made.
And
Calling a vote.
caller, motion to approve is for all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, the motion is approved for recommendation for the full commission. Next item. Item number 6, 16-164-12, authorizing the executive director to extend a one-year contract for stop-loss insurance for the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewer District.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Candace Ridge, Resources Manager. I have with me Tim Deaton. He's our benefits consultant from the Horton Group. The request is to extend a one-year contract with BP. BP is the district's current stop-loss provider. The renewal for 2017 came in with a 24.4% increase over the current year's premium, and I'd like to defer to Tim to give you the drivers that are causing the increase.
Yeah, good morning. Tim Deaton with the Horton Group. We were faced with initially a 70% increase on the stop loss, which was driven primarily by large claims, which we cover here in the district. Being a self-insured entity, we have a pay-as-you-go type approach to the benefits. The district has liability of $150,000 on every member that we cover. We currently cover about 800 members. Those large claimants, and I don't want to get into too much protected health information, represents half of 1%. And we did have some significant claimants this year. Our loss ratio through 10 months of the year is already at 102,000, and we've got about $900,000 of pending claims that still could be attributed to our loss ratio. We did go out to market. We went to 13 different stop-loss carriers. We received 2 quotes. Both were uncompetitive in our estimation. One was at 91% overcurrent, and the other one was at 65% overcurrent. We did get declines from the other 11. Any questions on?
This is just the reality of the market right now?
It's the reality of our current situation with some very, very high cost claimants. Moving forward, that half of 1% anticipated is each are looking to exceed that $150,000 stop loss level by at least $150,000 potentially each.
Question from Commissioner Gramling?
Thank you. So I understand the reactionary nature of this. The premiums are increasing because of recent claim history. Over what period of time might we expect, if we may expect at all, for our premium expenses to rebound, so to speak? Is this
Is the new reality?
It never turns around?
Yeah.
It turns around over the course of 3 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah,
And
usually-
does the answer to that lead us to think that maybe there's a different way forward with the way in which the district approaches this?
Right,
kind of
and I think that the reality is that we have a lot of pre-65 retirees. And in that age group, they typically tend to have larger claims and are a little bit more risk. Last year, our loss ratio through 12 months of last year was 122%. This year, we're already at 102 through 10 months of claims. Claim cycles probably go every 4 years, where you maybe go through a cycle of 3 to 4 years where you just have some high-cost claimants. Again, half of 1% is really what's driving the loss ratio and the risk. Last year, we paid stop-loss premiums, or this year, I should say, of about the actual number, about $573,000. Total cost of claims that we pay is about $7.5 million. So it is a small fraction for those claims that are covered over that $150,000. Again, MMSD, through the employee benefits, is on the risk for the first $150,000 of each covered member. Again, we have about 800 members. Hopefully that gives you some perspective.
Commissioner Krieger?
Just for clarification, so the contract is being awarded back to the previous carrier? Is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
If I could, just to clarify, and I understand if you can't put a more specific point on it, we might expect our premiums to stay at this level for a cycle, as you defined, 4 years plus or minus. We won't see even a recovery back to last year's premium level.
Each year is different and based upon what conditions we have or what risk we have in the current group as we move forward. So underwriting occurs every single year. We've had instances in other public entities where we've actually reduced premium. This year, unfortunately, we had some conditions that didn't preclude us to get that same type of response from the marketplace. We would consider the 4 individuals, let's just call it, that we have as catastrophic claims. And those typically don't happen every year.
Okay, thank you.
Questions from concerns? Seeing none.
I'll move for approval.
Got a motion from Commissioner Gramling. A second? We got a second from Commissioner Perez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, the motion is approved for recommendation for the full commission. Item number 7, 16-165-12, authorizing the executive director to extend a 1-year contract for life insurance benefits to Humana, effective January 1, 2017.
Yes, this request is to extend the 1-year contract to Humana, our current insurance provider. We had a renewal from Humana for 2017 that resulted in a 33% increase over our current premium. And again, I'd like to defer to Tim to give you some background as to what's driving that.
Yeah, and it's very similar to what we had with the stop loss. Our current loss ratio for 2016 through 10 months is 174%. Last couple of years, we've had very low increases in the life insurance, anywhere from 0 to 3%. Unfortunately, this year, with some of the claims that we had, we are not running as well. Our overall loss ratio for the past 4 years, when you attribute, the claims that we've paid this year, is 118% loss ratio. We did go to market. We went to 8 vendors and got declines from all 8. We've got retirees. Our retirees actually outnumber our active employees currently, and that is causing the markets that we go to look at the risk and obviously not quoting for the business.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Gramling and a second by Commissioner Hermes. Any questions, concerns, no comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, the ayes have it, and the motion is approved for a recommendation for full commission. Item number 8, 16-166-12, approval for create one senior project manager and one senior project manager non-PE position.
Yeah, the request is to create two positions. The first, the senior project manager, non-PE, which does not require a professional engineer's license, is to address workload in the executive director's office, as well as collaborate with our community outreach and business engagement division, as well as planning, research, and sustainability divisions on projects involving green infrastructure, outreach, and a new climate resiliency project. The second senior project manager position in pay grade 13 will assist with workload in the PRS division related to water reclamation facilities planning. Activities will include assessments and solutions to problems relating to wastewater processes, as well as energy management to meet the district's 2035 vision goals. The creation of these positions is consistent with other senior project manager positions at these pay grades within the district.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll seek a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Swan, a second by Commissioner Gramling. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, the ayes have it. The motion is approved for recommendation to full commission. Item number 9, 16-167-12, market and sell district-owned property on 25th and West Canal Streets.
Good morning, Commissioners. Excuse me, Don Niemer, Controller. The Commission has requested to declare excess and authorize the Executive Director to market and sell the property located at 25th and Canal, which we refer to as the 25th and Canal property. Included in your package is a map of the facility itself, and you can see it's located pretty close to the Potawatomi Bingo, right on the northwest side of that turnaround that they have installed there. The district has not had an operational need for this facility for approximately 15 years, as indicated in the document. We maximized our ownership of this facility by leasing it out. Right now, it's leased out to the city of Milwaukee, primarily used for their parking checkers, and I think they have a tire repair center in there as well. What we're looking to do is to further maximize the value of this to our ratepayers by selling the property at this time, given the uncertainty of our current tenant situation and the increasing real estate market in this particular area of the city. We have discussed the use of this property for future use by the district over the years, and each time it was indicated that there was really no need to have this particular facility available. There are some operational components on this particular property, and which we will address through the sale. And we have some experience doing that. I don't know if you recall, we sold the property on 27th and Mill Road, which we had purchased for extension of the Northwest Side Tunnel project. And on that property, we purchased a former garage facility, and we built an access shaft and some other conveyance facilities. And upon sale, we split the property off and maintained a section for our assets, and then the easements that were required to operate and maintain the facilities there. So we do have some recent experience doing this type of thing, and at this point, staff recommends sale of the building, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
We have an appraisal or understanding what the value of the property is going to be?
Yes, we had the property appraised about 2 years ago, and we're utilizing that, as well as we have some contacts in the real estate market here in the area, and we're evaluating the what the listing price might be of the particular facility and the associated land.
Move approval.
We got a motion for approval from Commissioner Hermes.
Second.
We got a second from Commissioner Swan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, the motion is approved for recommendation for the full commission. Thank you. The last item, item number 10. It's 16-168-12, initial resolution authorizing the sale of issuance of not to exceed $80 million in general obligation bonds and/or general obligation promissory notes and certain related details. I'll turn it over to staff.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mark Kaminsky, Director of Finance and Treasurer. The Commission has requested to authorize the sale and issuance of general obligation bonds and/or general obligation promissory notes in one or more series in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $80 million to be sold by competitive sale for the purpose of financing a portion of the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewage District's capital improvement program for the year 2017 and portions of years 16 and 2018. The authorization provides all the acts necessary to issue the bonds or notes, including the payment of fees for the service of financial advisor, bond counsel, rating agencies, and printing costs. And bond counsel services currently are provided by Foley and Lardner and the MWH Law Group. The district's financial advisor for the proposed obligation is Robert W. Baird and Company. The approved 2017 capital budget and long-range financing plan provides for the issuance of these obligations in 2017. Approval in the initial resolution at this time enables a portion of the 2016 capital expenditures to be funded from the proceeds of the obligations and provides the flexibility to be set the sale date when market conditions are favorable. A two-thirds affirmative vote by the Commission is required for the adoption. An update on this: when we prepared the document, there was a chance we could use 2016 expenditures, but currently, since we still have proceeds left from our 2015 sale, it won't happen until early 2017. We'll exhaust the 2015 bond proceeds. But what this does then is allows us that, say if we, and we're looking right now, April, going to a sale with a closing in May, but if we use the bond proceeds up in December, then even though we don't go to the market until April and May, expenditures that we incur of January, February, and March of 17 can be used against the proceeds when we receive those proceeds. And that's important as if in the event we get into an arbitrage situation over a 2-year period. And the other big reason is this gives us the authority to start timing the sale, working with bond counsel, working with our financial advisor, and working with the rating agencies. So, as I indicated, tentatively looking at April, but we'll see how the market is. But this has been planned. It's one of the 3 bond issuances that we have in the financing plan, and it's going to cover 2 years, basically 2017 and 2018. And I'll answer any questions.
Any questions, comments?
Move approval.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Hermes.
Second.
We got a second from Commissioner Gramling. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, the motion is approved for recommendation for the full commission. Executive Director's report. I'll turn it over to Kevin.
Nothing to report today.
Nothing to report at this time. Well, and then I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Commissioner Gramling made a motion for adjournment. I need a second.
Second.
A second from Commissioner Swan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Seeing none, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
An MCM production.